to another episode of Shakti Talks with myself, Ratna Morjaria, founder of Dharma Awakenings, and Claudia van Zuiden, founder of Solution Ways and co-founder of Conscious World Agents. Good morning, Claudia. How are you?
Good morning, Ratna. I am absolutely fantastic. I'm really happy to be here with you again.
Great. We haven't done Shakti Talks for quite a few weeks, have we? So
No,
what's
that's
been going
right.
on, Claudia?
Well, we have been busy also working, but we also took some time off, and that was really good. Really, to time to take care of ourselves and move house and all these things as well. But yeah, and I think you also took some time off
I
to
did. I did. I did. I
recharge.
really took some time out to recharge, re-energize, which is really very important, especially when we're trying to challenge the status quo about the topics that we talk about as well, and going into that space of contemplation and learning how we can collaborate as well. And um, very, very, very helpful. And I have not done that before in this way as well. We're going to talk about servant leadership today.
Mhm.
I was actually serving myself, Claudia, in that
Love
three
it.
weeks.
Love
So
it.
when we talk about service, we've got to be of service to ourselves to be able to be good servant leaders as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it.
And
I
I
like
really
the
wanted to
topic.
talk about this because I have so many people asking me or saying to me that, I want the team that I have or leave something behind as well.
Say that
And I
again,
always
please,
say,
because I lost you a bit. I'm not sure if you recorded that first sentence that you
no
said
problem.
about legacy. That you mean mentioned that, or
Yeah, I always get asked by people, or I have discussions with many people who have leadership roles that say, I would love to leave a legacy.
yeah.
And when you delve into that conversation, you know, well, what does that legacy look like? And most of the time, people say about the practical things that they want to leave behind, but I don't think we're in a world yet still where we're brave enough to talk about how we leave people feeling behind. And that's where I
Mhm.
started having conversations about servant leadership.
Yeah,
Are we just serving a company, an organization?
yeah,
Or are we serving people and maybe something bigger than us as well, Claudia?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I'd love to know your thoughts on this.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
can maybe have a discussion from, what's been your experience of servant leadership and what is it looking like right now as well?
I love it, Ratna. Thank you. Yeah, I always been very interested in this, and I think it started with my own work experience after having been a serial entrepreneur all my life. Well, all my life, since I was 21, my adult life, I would say. But after I had my first business, an exclusive ladies' fashion shop in the Netherlands, I mean, I was in some level being of service because the women left the shop always feeling fantastic in their new outfit. And there is something, I think, therapeutic about that. If we feel, we have nice clothes that really reflect our personality or what we want to maybe look like when we go to a party or a wedding or when we have a presentation or we need to speak at an event. I really saw these women leave like they felt also externally in line with their how they are themselves and how they would like to present themselves. So that was really nice, and I felt in a way I was being of service of that. But after about 5 years, that wasn't enough anymore, and I was only 21. And then I thought, this is not the life I want to lead. There must be more than this. And things happened, and I even moved abroad with a little child and the father of the child. And I started a whole new life. And I wanted to serve. My serve first started in hospitals. I wanted to help people who were ill. And I had not done my training. And I thought, well, I want to do this. So I walked into this hospital and I said, I've got two hands and a warm heart. And how can I be of service? And
Wow.
then the nurse, who was the sister, they called her still the sister of the hospital, the ward, she said, nurses are not made, they are born.
Wow.
And she said, and you're one of them. And that stuck with me. And in fact, she said that a year after she employed me, and I had my first yearly review, and she said, nurses are not made. We can study a lot of things, but nurses are born. And what it did to me, it was like being of service of people in the last stage of their life, being of service of moms delivering babies, lots of things. But it taught me so much about myself. And one of my greatest role models then was the ward manager in another hospital I worked, and she was like a servant leader. She made sure that it was not about power. It was not about the conventional notion of hierarchy and authority. It was about getting the best out of the people who were working in her team. And that's what I really liked. And then I started to read up about it, and I thought, what is this? And I came across Robert Kiefner Greenleaf, who started the modern servant leadership movement in the Greenleaf Center in America.
Mhm.
And I really liked what his philosophy was about, how to be of service. This could create great leaders. You'd be of service, wanting the people who work for you to grow into their best version of themselves, and do this gently from behind. And you create all kinds of things. You need all kinds of skills that we can go into as well, and so forth. But when I then started to uh, run my business, when I stopped nursing, and I did more in leadership training, giving leadership training and so forth, I thought, how can I implement that in the leadership training? And I came across people, I think the law of attraction works in mysterious ways, who were looking at this as well. They wanted to know more about servant leadership. So the organizations that hired me for that, they were actually already applying it, but maybe not so aware of it already. But I did feel that also being a mother
Mm.
was like being of servant leadership. It doesn't mean that you can't take care of yourself, but when you also take care of the other, you do that in the most loving approach. And that needs self-reflection. You need to develop emotional intelligence. You need foresight. You need to work with that, how things will look in the future, and come up with strategies that can make things happen. And I think I did that also in parenting as well as in running my business, but also in being a role model in certain projects that I work with, like, for example, also in volunteer settings. And at some point, even when I left, the women, there was a women project, they said, oh gosh, now you leave. Now it means we need to step up. And I knew they could do it, because I had felt that, I had supported them into develop every quality that they already had to a certain extent, that their own fear held them back. But because of how we did it, they now were ready to move and stand in their own power. And that was something we started in 2006, and it's still running without me. So they
Amazing.
they didn't need me anymore. And I think that, and I think this is nice what you said about legacy. And I would love to hear more, of course, how you felt that. But I think I will end with this, because it wasn't, I left a legacy, but if they forget about it, that's also fine.
Yes.
Because
Beautiful.
if they're really working on themselves and what they're then creating for, because they're also being of service with what they're doing.
Yes.
It is not about, don't need to say, oh, remember how when Claudia was here and how she did it. No, that's for me not important. It is like, can you make what's set up sustainable? And in fact, it doesn't matter actually who was the founder or who started it or initiated it. And for me, that would be the legacy.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And wow, I love how you described your journey as well, who inspired you. Just going to someone and saying, I have a heart and a pair of hands, and That's a big vulnerability to show people. And it's that energy where people, I think it's very endearing. And when we are endearing to people, they see something bigger than what we physically are as well, you
Yeah, and
know?
I think that is true. And also, I would like to add at that point when I did that, we were going through a financial crisis, so I had to work. And I thought, what I will do is what I love to do, and that is
Yes.
being of service. So I think that is a valuable point to add, because I could have also have done something else, but I thought I don't want that. I've run my business; it was successful, and we then invested money in something, and that was all great. In the long run, that was worth it. But at some point, there was no money left. But we needed money to look after the family.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, I have two hands, but my heart wants to serve. So I think that's also important, that you stick to your values and your
Yeah.
principles at some point. And I think the older I get, that's the only thing I want to do. I want to see if is it alignment with my principles? Is it ethical? Is it sustainable? Is it meaningful? All these things. And I think comes to service.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was important. But what about you, Ragnar? Where has the servant leadership led you in your to this point?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, servant leadership, I love this saying from Muhammad Ali. I'll just read it out. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room on here on earth. We're only here for a little while. We talk
Very
about that
nice.
so much,
Yeah.
that we're only here for a little while. And for me, legacy is, which, if I look at what legacy I want to leave behind, I want people to feel good. I
Mhm.
really want people to feel good and, you know, just be a lighthouse to people.
Mhm.
How you described, leading from behind
Mhm.
is much more endearing, and people will follow when they're made to feel important as well. And I'm not sure that I really had role models in work that inspired me to do this.
Okay.
I've had women in my life who have had to go through really difficult times where they had no choice but to step up
Yeah.
and still have a smile on their face to be of service, like you said about your children, to their families as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
And for me personally, I've thought about this a lot, why do I want to be of service to people?
Yeah.
I would like to say it's very much my faith as
Yeah.
well. I want to bring that into it. I think it's the faith and trying to understand what my purpose is for the time that I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But equally and very practically as well,
Yeah.
I just like making other people feel good as
Uh-huh.
well. And I love watching people blossom and, uh, you know, glow when all of a sudden, I think like you described, these women came into fear with the group that you set up. And you're going, but you can do this yourself as well.
Yeah.
And, I think servant leadership is also about being us creating a ripple effect, the ripple effect of multipliers where even when we're being of service to someone, there's many times, Claudia, I've been out of my comfort zone, being of service to people
Oh
because
yeah. Yeah.
I'm not, when we don't all know each other's backgrounds.
Yeah.
When you have a team to lead, you don't know everybody and their background and their why they behave the way they do. But I
Ah.
think servant leadership is such a lovely place to be where you make the effort as a leader to try and understand why your people do
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah.
And I've done lots of culture projects as well. So, it's not even people who report to you, it's a genuine interest of people. And I think servant leadership is all about be people centric.
Yeah.
If you use the business model of process, people, technology,
Yeah.
there's a need. And I think the need gets bigger as we become more mature ourselves. And
Uh-huh.
maturity is not about just age, it's just about your experiences in life
Yeah.
to want to know how can we do this together?
Mhm.
Because when we do this together, we open up ideas for other people to input, because we have to be open-minded.
Yeah,
When we grow something together, it's going to be sustainable,
that's it. Yeah.
but not having the expectation that what I build today is going to be there forever. But what I build today is growing, planting a seed for it to be adapted, to be suitable for the times going forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and what I really like about that is you foster, personal growth with others, So like you're saying, it's planting the seed, but you also encourage them to do the same again for others. Yeah, so not
Yes.
just doing it for themselves. So you have that ripple effect going on, and then you have a greater chance of being sustainable, of course. And what I also really like is that the positive environment that you create.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
the world, we're bombarded with all kinds of things in the world, and negative information, and people are really struggling with the amount of work, and the stress levels and burnout symptoms are just going through the roof.
Yeah.
But just by servant leadership, you can also ask, what do you need? What do you need right now to deliver the best possible work in the
Absolutely.
organization? So, um, if you do that, if you have that approach, what kind of morale are you creating in your organization then? You're creating a morale that says we need to take care of each other.
Yeah. And I
And
always go back to, I've tried, for me to be of service to people is, I try to I have always had that motto, and I know many people who are listening to us will have this as well. Try to treat people as you would like to be treated yourself as well. And that's a very hard thing to do,
yeah.
you
Oh yeah,
know.
yeah,
But
for
would
sure.
I like someone to ask me, Ratna, how are you? You
Uh-huh.
know, and doing it with consistency.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because when we do it with consistency, because we're breaking down people's walls as well. Where I think servant leadership is also about, you know, there's a big trust that has to be there, but trust
Mhm.
is built over time and consistency. If we only ask, what can I do for you, and then we do it as a one-off,
Yeah.
there's no integrity to that. And people
Uh-huh.
feel that. People feel when we're not being ethical, when we're not being of
Yeah.
integrity and being uh you know, they feel the energy of whether we're being genuine or
Yeah.
not being genuine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's so
that
true.
is so important in servant leadership as well. And I love what you say, Claudia, about um, we're in a time where, there's lots of crisis going on in terms of money, in terms of energy, the news that we're bombarded with. And, you know, I was speaking I was leading a panel at a environmental health and safety conference recently.
Yeah.
And, one person really touched me on the panel when he said, it's not about just the stress that people have at work. It's about us as leaders understanding the stress that's around in our daily lives, because people do not switch off and on when they come to work.
So true.
So what do leaders now have to do
Yeah.
to know their leadership role is to be of service, not just for the organization requirements, for the individual requirements as a wholesome
Yeah.
package? Because when we build that wholesomeness, we can have better organizations
Yeah.
that can function with a care of culture,
Yeah.
a culture of care, excuse me. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I know what
that's
you
what
mean.
I
Yeah.
meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the culture of care
Yeah.
is when we learn, where I've learned how to be more of service. And I think, I'd like to just bring in here, Claudia, the 16 guidelines that you teach as well. And every single one of those 16 guidelines, empathy, um, empowerment, all of those play a big, big role into how we can be of service. And I think it's great, the 16 guidelines, because they actually gives us the 16 guidelines, but from what I understand, it also teaches people how to embody and live those, right?
Yeah, it also makes you reflect. And I think that's really also in servant leadership, this reflection, self-reflection, and awareness, of course, creating awareness. And I think that's basically what the guidelines do as well. Like respect is one of them, service is one of the guidelines.
Right.
And it's just checking in with yourself, like, where am I with this, and where can I improve? And also what we like to do, for example, we like to apply them in situations that are maybe challenging. And we would say how we would pick a card. We have the cards also on our desks, and I would pick one and just randomly pick one.
Yeah.
And let's say I would pick up the card surface, and I would then ask the question, how would service make this situation different? What would be the benefit if I would apply the practice of service here? And then it's up to me if I would apply that or not. But, as soon as we start thinking about it, it could have an effect on how I'm going to act.
Yeah.
And
I love that, because
yeah.
what you're sort of, what I get the feeling is we have tools out there
Yeah.
for us to know how to be of service, or have have tools that mirror us questioning ourselves about how to be in service as well. And I think maybe people are lost sometimes about, well, how would I go about being of service? Because sometimes they relate it to, oh, being of service is something religious, or it's something spiritual, etc. There's a lovely saying: if serving is beyond you, then leadership is beyond you.
Well, this is it, because the importance of awareness in leadership, self-awareness in leadership is so undervalued. People think I love certain studies done where they show that leaders think they're fantastic leaders, and then when they actually read the figures, of these tests by McKinsey and so forth, when they show that people would pay for their leaders to leave.
Yeah. I mean, you only have to look on things like LinkedIn and everywhere, why do people leave? Because of bad leadership. It's everywhere now. So what are we going to do about it, Claudia?
And then I also notice in organizations that people in leadership roles, they want to train their team, but they don't want to do the leadership training themselves because they think they're very good leaders. And it's like, well, I'm not saying that you're not, but I'm saying, are you self-aware of your leadership style? Are you even aware of your how the way you lead? And I think that if you're already, and it depends on many levels, we have we coach many levels of leaderships training. Like for example, you can have someone who's just starting at the bottom, or you can have someone in the board, and I would say there's about 5 or 6 levels that we have. So it depends. To get on one level, you must have some leadership style. Often in the beginning, you're just put in that position, you've applied for it, and just figuring out how you're actually leading. But actually, when you're on the board or your top management, then you will be a little aware of what you're doing, I think. But there's always room for improvement. And is there still openness to self-reflect and saying, what else could I do here that would benefit not just myself and the organization at large, but also out with the organization? Like you say, people looking at a holistic kind of view. And I think servant leadership is also sometimes referred to as transformational leadership, because it creates transformation in the organization.
Yeah. And within ourselves, I love what you said, is there room for improvement? I would like to go one step further and say, is there untapped potential that you haven't even recognized as a leader yourself, because you've had a certain way? So, oh my gosh, we are so much bigger than we think we are. And even as executives or any type of leadership, there's so much we don't know about ourselves as well. And I think, solution ways, conscious world agents, what I'm trying to do with Dharma Awakenings is exactly, telling our stories of how we've transformed ourselves to be of service with the
Yeah.
knowledge we have. But I think good
Absolutely.
servant leadership is also about being open-minded. And I always say, when I'm of service to others, people don't realize, but they're also of service to my growth as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that.
So
Yeah, so I really love this topic, and I would like to add to this conversation as well. If people want to find out more about it, there's a very nice essay written by Greenleaf and about his philosophy and his essentials of servant leadership. I think it was written in 1958.
right.
But it's worth having a look at and looking at the skills and the traits that are needed to develop servant leadership, such as awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, etc. But also the last one is building community, and I think that's what is really lovely when we create a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
So and where people feel safe within the with the community in the workplace, and how we can foster collaboration with that. And I think that is the key to strength. When we row a canoe on our own, or we row it with 10 people,
Yes.
there is a difference, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
I think maybe when we post this, then maybe we can put the link somewhere for people
fantastic. Yeah,
as
we'll
well.
do
I
that.
think that would be really, really useful so people have got something to go away with.
I love
And we'd
it.
love to hear from people,
Yeah,
about their experiences of servant leadership and how they've grown to become a servant leader as well, because it is a process. It's a process of
absolutely.
our personal self-discovery and the reflections we get from people that who also make us better servant leaders as well. And I think
Absolutely.
COVID will have done that for a lot of people as well, because you had to be of service and you probably had to untap things that you'd never had in your leadership uh, profile before
Yeah.
as well. So I think there's so much that people can share about how they've changed during that time of being in service as well, you
Yeah,
know?
and then indeed people also started question, is this what I still want? A
Yeah,
bit like what happened to me when I was younger. It's like, is this what I really want to do in my life?
yes,
So
yeah,
yeah, I do hope and I
lovely.
that this will open another dialogue with other
Yes.
people and now thank you so much again, Ratna. I loved
No,
it.
thank you, Claudia. And yeah, we both got our Shakti back by having a
Yeah.
little bit of time out, and we would encourage everybody to do that as well.
And
And yeah, we will sort. I think even just in this topic, there's so much we could delve into
yeah, for
even a
sure.
little bit further as well. But as Claudia said, we are here to serve, and if anyone's interested to find out more, that we can help your companies or we can help people individually as well.
Very nice. Yeah.
They're the offerings that we have as well to support people to make this time that we have on this planet Earth as beautiful as we can make it for everybody.
Wonderful.
So until next time, and thank you so much, Claudia. I absolutely love doing this with you.
Likewise, Rodna. Have a wonderful day and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank
Till the
you.
next time. Bye
Till
bye.
next time. Bye.
Bye bye.